Are Ram's HD trucks reliable? We're going to talk about that in today's video. We'll go over common issues, and then I'll give you guys practical advice in terms of which Ram HD you should purchase. I'll include a link to my car buying guide in the description down below, as well as Carl Malone, Dodge, and Heber's website in the description down below. They're providing us with this truck. Let's get right into it. The newest Cummins has some massive improvements, but there are some potential issues still. First off, the diesel particulate filter. That's probably always going to be an issue. Emissions stuff in general just doesn't like diesels. Now on top of that particulate filter, you can also have EGR cooler issues, heater grid bolts, as well as some problems with the turbocharger and just turbo leaks in general. And if that wasn't enough, fuel dilution can still potentially be a problem with this powertrain. Now finally, the last thing that's being widely reported is just general engine knock. It seems like this is a thing, especially with American trucks. Now not all, but many of these issues would not be issues if this engine didn't have so many bits of emissions equipment thrown onto it. You get rid of the emissions equipment from the Cummins and it would be an engine that would be so insanely reliable that you would put 1,000,000 miles on it, no problem. And I'm sure that this can go to 1,000,000 miles. It's just going to require more maintenance because of everything that's choking out the engine. But let's actually talk about some positive things. There's now a modified fuel pump which should improve reliability. And the whole engine block has been redesigned for improved reliability in general. And finally, the whole fuel system has been improved with this new powertrain to just make things run more efficiently, so should get better fuel economy, but more importantly, more reliably. And that leads us to the next big improvement, which is the transmission. We now have an 8-speed automatic with this new Cummins. Now, the old 6-speed Ison was actually a pretty good transmission. The 68 RFE could be hit and miss. This new 8-speed is supposed to combine drivability that the 68 RFE had with the towing capability and the reliability of the Ison. Now time will tell in terms of whether or not this transmission is actually more reliable, but on paper the 8-speed should be a lot better. Now something to note, a lot of these fancy systems under the hood are controlled via computers. I mean, this is pretty much every modern car. Some of these computer issues can cause mechanical glitches or outright failures, and so that is something to also be aware of, is the electrical side of things causing issues under the hood. Like everything, if it didn't have an electrical glitch, would be performing perfectly fine, but because of some sort of electrical glitch, things go awry. I'm trying to hit 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me out with that. Now when it comes to the exterior of the truck, this is an HD truck, and so it is built well. I mean, the frame, the suspension, everything is massively overbuilt. This has solid axles front and rear too. Everything was built with durability and capability in mind, and so that's probably not going to be a problem when it comes to reliability as the truck itself. But there can be some fit and finish problems with these trucks. This is just kind of a modern car thing to be aware of. Same thing with paint. And so before you take delivery of your vehicle, just give it a good walk around so that you know what is and isn't wrong with it from a fit and finish perspective. I mean, just to give you an idea of stuff that you can see, the Jeep that I just bought a few weeks ago, this is actually really funny. I should probably show this on a video. But anyways, on the back of the Jeep, you can see like on the kind of pillar, where someone accidentally touched the paint while it was drying with their thumbprint. It's all smooth, but you can see the person's fingerprint in the paint. It's absolutely hilarious, but there are little things like that that can come up. Oh, I guess one last thing that's worth mentioning is the suspension. 2500s are coil sprung, 3500s are leaf sprung. Leaf springs are always going to be more reliable than coil springs. Coil springs, you just have to replace them more often in general. Better ride, but less reliability. Now this finally brings us to the interior of the truck. Again, there can be some fit and finish problems that people have complained about, but the interiors are actually pretty solid for the most part. The biggest thing that people are having is just the electronics. So again, digital gauge cluster. We've got a huge infotainment system. You know, functions like the heated ventilated seats should work most of the time, but accessing them can be difficult because they're on the screen now. So if there's a glitch with the screen, you can't really use that function. On top of that, this just has so much tech. Like, you've got 360 camera system with this too. So there's stuff that could potentially happen there. This even has power retracting side steps. That's another bit of complexity. Ram has added a lot of electronics to their vehicles over the last few years, and there's definitely growing pains with those electronics. And so just understand that the more electrical features you get with this truck, the more likely you're going to end up in the service department to have to work out glitches with those systems. And because it's electrical, right, things can be pretty interconnected. This can cause your battery to die because of parasitic feed from the electronics basically pulling from the battery. It's 100 degrees outside. My brain's only half working. But yeah, parasitic loss of the battery charge. And then, you know, one glitch with one piece of electronic equipment can cause a glitch with another one because it's all interconnected. There's tons of wires crisscrossing the entire truck. Yeah, these modern vehicles, they're quite exciting, but it's just something to be aware of. It's definitely something that Ram's gonna have to fine tune. I mean, you can see the trailer brake controls are half integrated into the screen on this, your tow haul mode, even your diesel exhaust brake. Like, if there's a glitch with the screen and you can't use your diesel exhaust brake anymore, that is not a good setup. So, yeah, this whole situation, again, for the most part it works. It's just kind of laggy sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't work, and that's problematic. So let's take this out and I'll give you guys some practical advice in terms of what HD you should purchase. Let us set off in this new Cummins. I was originally going to do a 3500 Limited, but the truck disappeared. Ooh. And by the way, look at this color. It's the Destroyer Gray, but you can get it on an HD. That's so cool looking. That's cool looking. At least I think it's cool looking. So much torque. I love this thing. This new setup is just fantastic. And also, you've got electric power steering. It's so light. I mean, for an HD truck, you barely have to put in any effort to drive this beast. Just look at the torque. Tons of torque, very smooth. It's a very nice setup. So yeah, this truck drives great. Again, like I said, 3500 doesn't drive as comfortably, but you get the benefit of more payload capacity. So you kind of got to pick and choose. Do you want payload or a smoother ride? And then, you know, leaf springs being more reliable versus coil springs being more comfortable but a little bit less reliable. This is what I'm talking about with tech. Turn signal camera. It's a cool feature while it works. So here's my practical advice with the HD Ram situation. First off, like I said, 2500 versus 3500, you got to figure out what your needs actually are. If you don't need the extra payload, 3500 is fine. And from my understanding, they're going to redo the payload for 2026 apparently, or something like that. They're going to redo the stickers where it's going to have an updated payload. I guess people were telling me that the regulations have changed so Ram can update the payload to what it more accurately is rather than having to downrate. I don't know. It's a confusing situation. I'll just see. When I review trucks, if the payload sticker shows a higher payload, then I'll show that to you guys. But payload aside, when it comes to packaging, the HD is a little bit more difficult than the half-ton, I think. Because there isn't really a lot of value packages with the HD. There's a few. So if you're open to the gas engine, you can get a Tradesman Power Wagon. That's a really cool package. It's got the off-road capability. It's got the gas V8. It's just a really cool package, and it's more affordable. That one is done quite well. Man, that's got good torque. So gas V8, I think the Tradesman Power Wagon is kind of the one to go for. If you're going for diesel, I'm not a huge person about upselling, but I think the Laramie is pretty good. That or the Bighorn is kind of a debate between the two. The Rebel package, I don't know, it's too expensive for the most part. And, you know, the Limited's nice, but again, you run into the too much tech problem. So if you get like a Bighorn with the smaller screen, the more analog gauge cluster, less of that, you're gonna have fewer electrical issues, or you might not have any at all. So your ownership experience will be better. And that really is the thing with these trucks, is you want to have the least amount of electronics. I know this stuff is appealing because it can make the quality of ownership, man, this is a tight space they've got this truck in. It can make the quality of ownership better in certain ways, right? Like making towing easier, making parking easier and all that, but at the same time, like I said, it's only cool while it works, and then if it doesn't work and then you are out thousands of dollars because, oh, now your truck's out of warranty, or there's all sorts of things that can happen, then it's like, man, that feature is worthless. And you got to think, like, look at like used cars that are now, because cars from the early 2000s and 2010s, they had some pretty cool features, and you look at the, man, this is such a tight space. You look at the value of these cars, and what you'll notice is the cars with all the features don't have as much value because the stuff doesn't work anymore. So that is something to consider with all these modern techie features, is how much of this is actually going to work. But that's my practical advice, is the less tech, the better. And you can't really choose, like the diesel powertrain, you either get, there's only one option now. So we'll see how reliable this powertrain is, but it seems like it's going to be a better unit compared to before because they've made some major improvements.